Good evening, friends. My name is Vivek Prakash, and I, along with my colleague Mahesh Devasthale, who is going to take today's webinar, welcome you all. We are here again with another episode of this webinar called the Project Management Webinar. For the benefit of the first-time attendees, the Project Management Webinar is to explain project management concepts and related topics in simple terms. It addresses day-to-day challenges of the project managers across industries. It helps project managers to earn certifications like PMP, PRINCE2, help certified project managers to maintain their certification by earning PDUs, CDUs. I think there are many names of these points. Learn project management tools, make you aware of latest trend in project management, and support in implementation of best practices. One more important agenda of this webinar is to answer your questions. So please post your question to us and we will respond to that. As our theme of this webinar is Imbibe, Certify, Apply, and Thrive. Now, this webinar is focused on PRINCE2 certification, which is, I think, the second largest second popular certification after PMP. And there are a lot of people look forward for this PRINCE2 certification also. Even many people have both the certifications. And so today, Mahesh Devasthale, who has a strong hold for many, many years, he is doing trainings on PRINCE2, have hundreds of people certified with PMP, with PRINCE2. And he's continuously supporting those people who would like to PRINCE2. And he, just another thing, he's having a strong hold on project management, but especially on Microsoft projects. So we will listen him on some other day on Microsoft project as well. So for today, let's over to Mahesh.
Thank you, sir. Good evening to everyone. Give me a moment. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I hope everyone is able to see my screen.
Yes, sir. Audible and clearly visible. Presentation is visible.
Yes, we can see it. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So today's subject is how to get PRINCE2 certified in 30 days. Right? I'll introduce the benefits of PRINCE2, then how it is structured very quickly. And then we'll look at the examination pattern. It's in terms of the certification and examination, it is different than PMP. So we'll look at how it is structured, what is the pattern there, what levels of certification there, and then then we'll talk in detail about how to prepare for this certification examinations. Right? I'll give you some tips about online proctored examination and how the certification body, that is PeopleCert, who actually manages it on the behalf of Excelos. So what kind of care you should be taking while you go for this online proctored examination, I'll be talking about that as well. All right, so let's go ahead. Please feel free to stop me any point in between. Let's make this interactive. Any questions, and I'll be happy to take those questions during this session also.
As such, I have put a message in the chat box that if they have any question, they can post it into the chat box.
Okay, so this is our agenda for today. Introduction, then structure of PRINCE2 7th edition is the latest one, released in the last quarter of 2023. Even the earlier edition, 6th edition, is still in practice. And the 7th edition, which has come up, that 6th edition is now in practice along with Agile. And 7th edition is an independent certification there. And then we'll talk about examination structure, preparation guidelines, and some tips. And then I'll show you one sample questions from the examination also. Right? So these are some of the benefits that we'll be looking into why one should go for PRINCE2. So first of all, it is universal. PRINCE2 is in the market for last 25 years. It was developed by UK government to run their government projects initially. Initially, there was a body by the name OGC, Office of Government Commerce, and they developed this methodology. And then in the, I believe around 10 years back, it was the custodianship was given to Axelos. Axelos is a UK-based agency. So as present, as on today, Axelos is the custodian of this best practice. Not only this, but there are many other best practices like ITIL and management of risk, managing successful programs, which are maintained, managed, and owned by Axelos. And PeopleCert is one of the organization or the agency or the who actually delivers these certifications. So they manage, they facilitate the actual certification completely. Now, PRINCE2 is project management methodology. It gives a nice framework, practices to deliver the projects successfully, repeatedly. This has been adopted universally. So I myself have worked on projects which had adopted PRINCE2 in Malaysia for Malaysian clients, then in Australia, in Saudi, of course, in India, and in UK. For UK, any project in UK or Europe, and especially the government projects, or anybody aspiring to play the role of a project manager in UK or in Europe, and even including the government projects, PRINCE2 is a de facto requirement. It is a de facto standard. Right? But as such, it is universally accepted. Even recently, I have seen increased level of adoption of PRINCE2 in the UAE region as well. Middle East region as well. What are the benefits of PRINCE2? It gives us a common language and concepts. So any two people who are discussing about a project following PRINCE2, they have this common language. They speak the common terminology. They follow the same principles. PRINCE2 is very flexible. It is industry agnostic, so it is not for any specific one industry like IT or say construction or manufacturing. No, it is completely industry agnostic. It is product agnostic. So I can take any product, the laptop in front of you, the mobile device in your hand, the mouse that you have, any manufacturing tangible product, or any service like Uber or Ola or Swiggy or any kind of services like the cloud-based services, what we see which is increasing. So any tangible product or any services, we can apply PRINCE2 as a project management methodology to execute those projects successfully. PRINCE2 also is part of this integrated suite of methods. So as I said, Axelos is the custodian for many different best practices. So Axelos calls it as a best practice. So PRINCE2 is a best practice from Axelos. ITIL is a best practice from Axelos. MOR, that is management of risk, MSP, all these are the best practices. So all these practices, they are integrated. So there will be references of ITIL in PRINCE2. The entire risk management module within PRINCE2 comes from the management of risk certification. So one can study this best practices or acquire these certifications separately, or they can go for multiple of these certifications as well. PRINCE2 is very much a process-based methodology. So when an organization adopts PRINCE2, so it is applicable at the project level, or it can be embedded within the organization. That's the word embedded is what PRINCE2 uses in particular. So when it is embedded within an organizational setup, it increases the process maturity to a great extent. Why should you do PRINCE2? Of course, it will improve your career prospects, especially if you are working on any of these geographical regions where PRINCE2 is popular, UK, Australia, Singapore, Malaysia, UAE, any side of it. If you are India, like for those who are India based, but their clientele is in any of these regions, for them also having the PRINCE2 certification is very beneficial. I have experienced this, like when I was introduced with PRINCE2, I was working for a UK based client, and that is how I was introduced to PRINCE2 way back in 2006. This helps you to talk with the client in their language, and that helps you align with the client and understand their requirements, deliver more efficient. Of course, in the organizations where they are focused, or their clientele is focused on in these areas, many times I have seen PRINCE2 becomes kind of a requirement even within the Indian organizations serving to the clients from these regions. So as such, there are organizational level benefits, there are individual level benefits for PRINCE2. Any questions before we go ahead? Okay. I'm repeating maybe, but just please feel free to stop me anytime in between.
I don't see
Let's
it.
understand at a maybe at a very high level, a helicopter view of how PRINCE2 is structured. As I said, this is the 7th edition. Almost 20% of 6th edition is changed in 7th edition. Okay. Okay, sorry. So there is a question from Mukesh. Who governs PRINCE2? Just like PMI. So Axelos is the owner of PRINCE2, and PeopleCert governs or facilitates the certifications, the examinations, maintenance of the PRINCE2 manual. So that is all done by PeopleCert. Right. So equivalent to PMI, we can say Axelos is the owner or the custodian of PRINCE2. Right, Mukesh? Yeah, thank you. So let's understand at a very high level how it is structured. What are its key components? So on the left-hand side, what you see are the 5 circles, and if you see, those are all integrated. The arrows shown, they are two-headed arrows, double-headed arrows, right? That means these five things, 5 circles, 5 elements, as what PRINCE2 calls them as, they are related to each other, and it's not a sequential or a linear relationship, but it's an integrated relationship between these 5 basic elements of PRINCE2. So it starts with project context. As I said, PRINCE2 is very flexible. It is industry agnostic. What it does is it emphasizes on understanding of what is the context of your project. Manufacturing a writing pen, building the bridge across a river, constructing a 20-story residential building, development of an internet banking portal, any of these projects can be executed using PRINCE2 as the project management methodology. So PRINCE2 in the beginning itself emphasizes or asks the project manager to emphasize on the project context. Right? So first point is to understand what is the scale, size, complexity, what are the organizational preferences or organizational culture, what are the commercial arrangements. So you understand what is behind this project. Right? There are different types of contexts which are described in detail in the PRINCE2 manual, but that is the first element of PRINCE2. The second one is people. Now, PRINCE2 says people is at the center of any and every project. Without people, you cannot execute a project. So in the 7th edition, they have introduced some contents around the leadership. So what is leadership? What are the leadership activities or the tasks? What are the managerial level tasks there? So it talks about the leadership and managerial difference, right? Hari Prasad, yes, I will talk about benefits or advantages of PRINCE2 in comparison with PMP as well as we go further. I'll cover that information also. Sorry. So PRINCE2 says people are at the center of the project. And then it talks about team motivation. It talks about the collaboration. It talks about many different people aspects as the center theme or center element of that. Then it continues what has been there for a longer time, like in the earlier versions also. Principles, practices, and processes, right? Principles are something like the North Star. There are 7 principles, and those 7 principles are the North Star for PRINCE2 methodology. If you are following PRINCE2 methodology, you must follow all the 7 principles. Similarly, you must follow all the 7 practices, and you must follow all the 7 processes. So now there are these 21 elements together, which as a project manager, I'll have to follow if I have to adopt to PRINCE2 methodology. Does that add a lot of overheads, operational work, tasks? No, because PRINCE2 gives you the complete flexibility. In fact, one of the principles of PRINCE2, it says tailor to suit your project. So while PRINCE2 mandates following or implementing these principles, one of the principles itself, it says that you tailor, you customize the methodology. You don't just adopt it blindly. Because PRINCE2 gives you a lot of management products, is something what they call it as. Like the structures of the reports, many documentation. So what we have as a charter in PMP, we have something called as PID, Project Initiation Document in PRINCE2. But then PRINCE2 gives you a lot of flexibility. It says you can combine these documents. You can increase or decrease the frequency when these documents will be created, reviewed, updated, to whom with it will be shared. So you have your own communication management approach defined. You define your own levels where the information needs to be shared. You follow your own techniques which are most suitable to your project. So PRINCE2 just talks about a few techniques. It doesn't makes it mandatory to follow 1 or 2 techniques or 1 or 2 methods for any of these principles or practices or processes. So as I was saying, principles are the North Star. Those are the things you must implement or you must follow. The practices can be looked at or even can be termed as the themes which I will use to implement or to follow these 7 principles. So there are 7 practices. Now, again, because it is 7 and 7, is it one-on-one relationship? No, it is always many-to-many relationships. So many of my principles, they are related to many of the practices, vice versa, even with the processes also. So as I mentioned, one of the principles is tailor to suit your project. The another one is focus on products. So though PRINCE2 is a project management methodology, it tells you to follow the product life cycle. It tells you to follow what your product needs. In turn, what your customer needs. Is the way so there is a practice called as organizing, which talks about how your project organization should look like. Now, even in the project organization, the focus is on how the products will be. So based on what your product is, you will have different roles, different skills, cross-functional people, internal, external, multiple vendor suppliers onboarding. So all those, I would say, practices or the themes are part of these 7 practices. And then processes is something which we must follow or to help implement these practices. So under the 7 processes, Prince2 gives you the set of activities. Each process, like how do I start the project? How do I manage the deliveries? When do I do the planning? Who and when gives the direction to the project, gives the governance to the project, who reports into whom. So all these things, and when the reporting happens. So all these project management activities are clubbed into these 7 different processes. So what happens when we try to adopt Prince2 is all these elements, they come together. My 7 principles, my 7 practices, my 7 processes, my people, my leadership managerial approaches, and my project context to start. All these elements, they come together when we try and when we go for the adoption or implementation of Prince2 as a project management methodology. Now, while this is all about the elements or the process-related part of Prince2, it tells you or it gives you 7 different areas or aspects under which your project performance will be evaluated. So what you see on the right-hand side, those are the project performance aspects. So when I say I am following Prince2, my project performance, how well did my project perform? Was I within the cost? Was I within the timelines? Did I realize all the benefits? Did I manage the risks well? Or when I face the risk, when any risk materializes, did I follow the actions as recommended by Prince2? How many times whether I faced the scope change and scope creep, and then how well did I manage it? So out of this 7, if you look at it, the 6 are very commonly followed in overall project management world, I would say. The 7th one, that is the sustainability, which has been introduced newly in this 7th edition. It is based on the 17 goals of sustainability as defined by United Nations. So there are these 17 different goals UN has defined. What are those? Some of those are like saving the life underwater, saving the life on the earth, then environment impact management, then gender equality, diversion and inclusion. So there are then again there are some goals about the poverty, some goals about food. So based on your project context, as a project manager, you need to select the relevant and applicable goals for sustainability criteria as well. So when your project performance will be measured, it will be measured against those goals which you would have selected, right? So this is something new to 7th edition, but again it fits very well into the methodology, wherein every project can have the relevant goals. So for example, if I am constructing a bridge across the river, then life underwater will be made one of the key sustainability goals that a project manager will have to take care about, and even that will be considered as the success measurement of it. Even in case of IT projects, say gender equality could be one of the goals, which is very common, and diversion, inclusivity and diversion could also be another goal, which could be relevant to IT projects as well. So out of these 17 sustainability goals, as a project manager, you will need to select the relevant ones which are applicable to your project. That part you will do it while you define the context of the project, right? And then the entire manual. So Prince2 has got only one manual. The way we have the PM book, Prince2 calls it as an official book or official guide for the certification examination. So there is only one book, And that book covers all these aspects. And in fact, many more detailed contents are there in the official manual. Any questions about the structure? I'll just continue.
One question, Mahesh, here about the
Yes.
sustainability. Is this a globally defined goal of sustainability?
Yes, yes. These goals are like they are taken from what United Nations have defined them.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so that was a very high level introduction to how PRINCE2 is structured. Right? Let's look at the certification examination structure. PRINCE2 has got two levels. There will be two certifications which you will have to complete, and then you will become the practitioner of it. Right? So there is one official manual or official guide, one book to study, but two levels of certification. One is the foundation and one is the practitioner. So PRINCE2 7th edition foundation examination, it is a closed book examination, so you cannot refer any material, or there will be no book or notes in either on the paper form or in the soft copy that you can carry with you. Absolutely nothing. It is going to be the 60 minutes exam, 60 questions, and 60% passing. It's a multiple choice questions with 4 options given, no trick options, and no negative mark. So if you look at it, it's I would say, relatively easier examination pattern and a relatively easier examination as well. What will be assessed or what will be evaluated in the foundation certification examination is your understanding of the concepts. How well do you understand the concepts? How well do you understand and able to reproduce the terms and terminologies? Because PRINCE2 has got its own glossary, full set of definitions. There are things like highlight reports, checkpoint reports, which are part of the reports. And there are different roles like a project board, executive, senior user, senior supplier. These are the terms or the names given to the roles which are very specific to PRINCE2. Right? So in the foundation examination, you will be evaluated, you will be assessed. The questions will be in the form to test your knowledge, your awareness, and your ability to reproduce these concepts, these terms and terminologies. Right? But again, can I study some part of the manual and appear and clear the foundation examination? No. From the syllabus perspective, it is the full manual that you will have to study. Only the questions or the pattern of the questions will be to evaluate your understanding of the concept and the terms and terminologies. So that will be the foundation examination. Now you can take only the foundation examination on any given point of time, and you will get a certification of the foundation. Correct? But then there is a second level also. That is practitioner certification. Practitioner examination is the open book examination. So at the time of the examination, you will be given the access to the soft copy of PRINCE2 manual. You cannot use any other book or notes, or not in the physical or the soft format, but you can use the manual itself during the practitioner examination. The pattern of the examination is there will be a scenario given. And I'll show you the example of the scenario also as we go ahead. So there will be a scenario given, a hypothetical scenario, but very near to the real life. So they will explain the entire project in the scenario. For example, company ABC is awarded a project to construct football ground and recreation area for PQR village, and then so the entire details will be given, like which roles, how the project was planned. Full details will be available. 1 page of scenario will be given. Then one additional page or one page of additional information will also be provided to you based on that scenario. And then there will be 70 questions around this scenario and this additional information. Right? So 2.5 hours is the time limit, and 60% passing, that is, you have to score 42 marks out of 70. Again, the questions are MCQ. There are no trick answers, and then there is no negative marking as well. Right? For foundation examination, there is no prerequisite. The only recommendation is you should have some background about project management, and it could be even the academic background also. So, for example, let's say for someone during their college years, they had project management as one of the subjects. Only based on that, without any industry experience, also they can take the training of PRINCE2, and then they can appear for the foundation examination, and they can clear it also based on their understanding. But for practitioner examination, the prerequisite is you should have passed foundation examination. Can I take both these examinations on the same day? Yes, I can. I can take it, in fact, back to back also. Now, what happens in that case if I pass practitioner, but which is very unlikely to happen, but if I pass practitioner and fail foundation, very rare scenario. But if that happens, PeopleCert will hold your practitioner certification. You need to complete your foundation examination, and then PeopleCert will release both the certifications when you clear the foundation examination as well. Correct? So this is how the two examinations are structured. The two certification examinations are structured. Any other question? Yeah, I'll go ahead. I'll take the questions. We'll take a last 10 minutes pause for the questions as well. Right. So how do you prepare for the examination? Right. I have been delivering the trainings for PRINCE2 since 2011, 22. 2011 was the year when I did my practitioner certification for the first time, and since then I've been delivering the trainings for PRINCE2, the overall course as such. Based on my own attempts and my own preparation method for the certification examinations, and based on the experiences from my different participants all over these years, what I have come to is these guidelines, and I have seen these guidelines, or if somebody follows this, I have seen it. They are being successful. So I can say that this is fairly tested method of the guidelines. So when you decide to go for PRINCE2, now how will you decide to go for PRINCE2? I'll talk about that also. Let's say your project demands, or your employer demands, or your client demands, or you have the interest in PRINCE2, and you decide to go for the certification. So please register with the approved training organization. So the Axelos has got ATOs. So you register with one of those ATOs for the training and certification. So generally you will get a combo of training and certification. The cost will include both. So for both the certifications, training and certification cost will be included in the cost given by the ATO. Right? So you register, you attend this trainings. Now, generally in India, we have 3 to 4 days of the training for PRINCE2, including both foundation and practitioner. But and for those who are in UK, Europe, or this side of the world, like Australia, Singapore, the training will go for 5 days. The training will go for 5 days. Right? But there are some commercial equations which are different in these two, three geographies, and hence you will end up finding the trainings. Some ATOs giving the training for 3 days, some ATOs giving the training for 5 days. Mostly it will be the geography differences which will drive how many days the training will be. But then attend these trainings. The benefit of this training is your trainer will make you familiar with the specific terms, terminologies, and concepts of PRINCE2. That's a good idea rather than you reading the manual on your own. See, the manual is available even on Amazon. One can go and buy that manual from Amazon and read it. But it's a better idea, it's a good idea to understand or to hear those concepts, terms, terminologies, products, etc. from a trainer. The second thing is the ATO will give you the material, the presentations, which will again give you the summarized version of the manual. So it is good to attend the training. So after attending the training, you will get this trainer's material or the study material. So I recommend revisiting this material. Now, what happens is during the training, the trainer runs this kind of slides and explains the concepts. Now, after the training, when you again go through these slides or the material, it helps you to refresh, to recollect what was discussed, what was explained during the training. Because that training hours, that workshop was your first interaction with PRINCE2. So when you revisit that material, it helps you refresh, recollect the things which were being discussed, explained during those 3 to 5 days of the training. Now, once that happens, but again, remember that trainer's material is, as I said, is a summarized version of the manual, and the examination will be based on the manual. So once you refresh your understanding through the training material, the next thing you need to do is self-study of the official manual, the official guide. Where will you get it? Do you have to purchase it? No. When you redeem your voucher, when you register with PeopleCert for your examination, on the PeopleCert website, you will get a soft copy of this manual. So for those who go for the training and certification, who make the payment for the certification, they get the access to the soft copy of the manual under their PeopleCert login. So I recommend generally 10 days to go through this, with the assumption that all of us here are full-time working professionals. So it won't be possible for us to sit for 6, 7, 8 hours in a day and study. So generally, even if you plan a couple of hours in a day, around 10 days will be good enough time wherein you can complete your manuals. This is like 450 approximately pages of manual. So around 10 days of time will be good enough time to go through the manual. Correct? Now, what will this do? It will help you to go into the details of what you heard during the training and what you refreshed through that trainer's material. It will help you, the self-study of the manual will help you to get into the details of that. Correct? Then every ATO, I am associated with at least 6, 7 ATOs, and every ATO, they have got their learning management system now, and LMS now, wherein they will give you some sample question papers. In fact, PeopleCert themselves, they give this kind of mock papers to the ATOs. Correct? So you solve these sample papers. You solve the sample papers for foundation and you solve the sample papers for practitioners. Again, I'm considering 3 to 4 days to solve these sample papers. Now, once you do this, because you have read the details in the manual and you have faced the sample examination now, you will have queries. You will have queries. You go back to your ATO, whoever is your ATO, ask them that you need to get in touch with the trainer, and then they will put you in touch with the trainer, and then you get your queries resolved. Just don't let go of those queries, because you don't know what question will be there in any of these exams. So I am saying this query resolution will take probably 1 day. And every ATO does that. All the ATOs with whom I am associated, they do it. If any participant reaches them saying that they have the query, they will they will put you in touch with one of the other trainer and your queries will be resolved. Right? Then again, you go back and do the mock exam. So first, those were the sample papers, then the mock exam. Now, do we have the sample questions, sample papers of these mock exams available online? For foundation certification, yes, we have it available online. For practitioner, no. For version 6 or 6th edition, I myself had created 3 sample papers for practitioner. But now I won't recommend that because 80%, though 80% will be same, 20% is different. So it's not for 7th edition. But then your ATO again can give you will find it just by Google search also. Not all of those are quite authentic or very close to the real papers, but still it will give you a good idea. Most of them are free of cost. You can just Google it, you will get that information and you try to solve maximum number of questions. Right? Then now your queries are resolved, you know what and how the exam questions will be. Again, go back to your official manual. Refer to the parts which you came across as something important. Some parts like some concepts wherein you faced the questions multiple times. Okay, go back to the manual, refresh the manual. Take the second exam, and you will realize that the scoring will be much improved in your second attempt, the mock exam. Once you are there, once you score something more than the required passing marks through your mock exam first attempt and second attempt, then only you schedule your online examination. Correct? Please don't be in a hurry to schedule the exam. Now, it looks or it may look like a longer cycle if the driving force behind your certification is your HR, or maybe you want to do it for a project change or a job change. So this may look like a longer cycle of 30 days, but I would recommend you please follow all these steps. Don't be in a hurry to to complete the sample papers, or even maybe you may want to skip that. Correct? But please, my suggestion, my recommendation is don't skip anything. Right. So shall we go to the next slide? Okay. So whenever you feel like yes, you are ready, you scored all the more than passing marks in your mock examinations, you can schedule your examination online. So again, on the PeopleCert website, you can schedule your examination date and time slot. You can select there. This will be online proctored examination. Now, PeopleCert is very strict in terms of proctoring. Okay. So you must be careful while you book your slot. Okay. Again, there is a reason that if last minute rescheduling happens, then there is an additional cost of almost like 80 pounds that you will end up paying. So you please select a day wherein, or the time wherein you are fully free from any other thing. You can fully concentrate on your examination. Right? Now, when you book your slot, the PeopleCert website will ask you to download one software. It is available on Play Store and Microsoft Store. It is available there. You can download it on your either on mobile or laptop. The recommended thing is the laptop, because mobile will be a very small screen. So you download it on your laptop. Right? So that software, when you download and when you run that software, it will check your system compatibility. So there are some minimum system requirements that this particular software will check in terms of the RAM, in terms of the available storage space, in terms of your internet speed. So all the technical parameters this particular software will check. And when your system passes all those checks, you can actually log into that software and then take the examination. Right? For the examination, please ensure you are in a room wherein you are alone. Now, it is highly recommended that let the room have only one door. Okay. The reason is the proctor will ask you to sit in such a way that the door will always be there on the camera. So the door should be behind you. Okay, so throughout the 2.5 hours and 1 hour of the examination, the proctor who's online there on the other end should be able to see you and the door behind you. Right? So it is highly recommended that the room should have only one door. Please ensure you have a good internet connection, because your video during the examination keeps on getting streamed and uploaded onto PeopleCert data storage sites. So it is capturing your video and uploading it. So you need to have a consistent and a good internet speed available all through your exam time. Correct? Then do not keep any paper, any printed material, any books. Do not keep it with you. No mobile phones, no smartwatch, no writing pads, nothing. And this proctor will ask you to show your table on the camera. So one round they will ask you to show your room, then show your table, what is there on the table, how far is your mobile from your reach. Then they will ask you to show that you are not wearing any smart watch. On the table, they will check there are no papers, there are no books. They are very, I would say, strict and sometimes fuzzy also about these things. So please be extremely careful about all these things. You should have continuous electricity, or let there be the backup. If the internet gets disconnected, then there's a bit of relief that when it comes back, you can continue from where you had left the examination. Right? Now, please remember, let's say you are in a room and you are taking the examination, and somewhere in between the examination, somebody knocks on your door or somebody enters into the room. Your exam will be suspended there. And then it is completely up to the proctor whether to allow you to complete the examination or no. In most of the cases, they don't allow. I myself have taken this experience. I myself have ended up paying more. Correct? Because your next attempt will be paid. Correct? So no disturbance, no kids, no elders, nothing should come and disturb you during those 2.5 hours and 1 hour. Right? So please do remember all these things while you book your exam and while you plan the actual taking of the exam. Okay. Right. So this is how the foundation question will look like. It will give you which two objectives of the managing a stage boundary process. All 4 options given, and you need to select the correct one. It's a pretty standard MCQ type of thing. No matching, no, nothing of that sort will happen. And for practitioner examination, if you see, it says question 1. So this question 1 is nothing but the scenario. And look at this scroll bar. So it's not only this much, but it's a long scenario that will be given to you. So Louis Town is a historical town, blah, blah, blah. And then they want a new shopping center, what they do. And then ahead in the scenario, they will give you how the project plan was created, who created it. And then in the question, they will make some change in the situation given in the scenario. So they will say, okay, this one particular role took this action. Now, was this action correct? If yes, why? If no, why? And those will be your choices. You have to read the question, the scenario in detail. You have to understand it, interpret it, align it or map it with whatever you have learned in the PRINCE2 training and in your practice. then read the question, then read the options and select the correct option. One more thing to remember here is the language is typical UK style. The sentences will be very long. Those who have any experience with any of the UK side certifications like TOGAF or ITIL, they probably will be able to relate to this more, that the sentences will be very long sentences. So you have to read it very carefully. You should be able to catch the PRINCE2 specific terms and the general wordings in the questions and the scenario, and then answer the question carefully. Okay. Right. Any questions? Okay, I can see some questions in the chat box, so I'll go there.
One is asking about that
What is
7th
MCQ?
edition validity. How long, how often they revise the edition?
7th edition validity is 3 years. Foundation 3 years, practitioner 3 years from the date when you pass the examination. Okay.
No, he's asking for the validity of the 7th edition.
7th edition, correct. So 7th edition validity is for 3 years.
After 3 years, they revise it?
Yes. So after 3 years, you need to retake the examination. Whether you want to take the certification, training or not is up to you, but you will have to reappear for the examination as if you are taking it for the first time.
No. Question is not this. You didn't get. So there are two things. I think what you are answering is that how long the certification is valid.
Right. And how long 7th edition will be valid? No,
Right,
that is
right.
not the answer.
That is until the 8th edition comes.
8th comes, right.
Because we don't know
see,
when it will come up.
Exactly. When, the 6th edition was active, it is active even today, but in full force, it was active almost for 8 years, 7 to 8 years.
Okay.
We don't know when the 8th edition or whatever the next edition will be released. That is not declared yet.
Mm-hmm. You can unshare the presentation so that you can come on the screen, because that's not required. One more question is there.
Yeah,
Please
one more.
inform that the advantage of PRINCE2. You want to know what is the advantage of PRINCE2 over PMP, comparing to PMP, basically.
These two are two different styles. One is prescriptive, the other one is descriptive. PRINCE2 is more process-based, less technique-based. PMP, as what I understand, is more technique-based, less process-based.
Yeah, it's a like a what and why, or what and how kind of thing.
Okay.
So PRINCE2 is more how, and PMP is more what.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's like, I think his meaning is that if we do PRINCE2, what will be the advantage? And if we do PMP, like, why should I choose PRINCE2 or why should I choose PMP? Probably this.
In a very ideal world, if you are the global citizen, then recommendation is go for both. But if you have to select, then you think of the advantage that you will get in terms of your career or your work related things. Because as such, both the methodologies are very globally accepted. Though, of course, they are different, like as we said, how and what, but they are globally accepted. So both are good to learn. So to decide what is the advantage, I think it's more from the individual's situation.
Okay. One more question is here, is that do they have certification exam like program manager and portfolio manager?
Yes, Axelos has got a best practice by the name Managing Successful Programs, MSP. That's the certification. Again, that certification also has got the foundation and practitioner level, and it is specifically for the program management.
I have one question. Is like, for whom, who is the targeted audience for foundation And who is the targeted audience for practitioner?
Okay, so those people who are not directly into managing a project, but are in the support capacity they are related. Say for example, PMO. Let's say there is a PMO and there are people working in that PMO. So that team can go for foundation, wherein for them it is enough to be aware about the concept and the terms and terminologies of the project management. So for them, only foundation can be good enough. But for all of those who manage the project, who are actually responsible for delivering the product or the service, who has the team to manage and run, for them practitioner is recommended. So they have to do foundation and practitioner both.
You said there is no as such prerequisite for foundation, right?
Yes.
But what is the prerequisite for practitioner? You said one is that you should have foundation.
Foundation, that's it. That's the only.
That's the only, no experience,
No
no
experience.
training, etc.
No.
Okay,
Even
why the training is required?
Even see training, if you are very, I would say you are very confident, you read that manual and you feel and you have the experience also, the real experience, then you can even skip the training. You can directly register with people, sir.
Okay.
But it is not recommended, though it can be done, but it is not recommended because one needs to get very familiar with the framework per se. Because as I said, the terms and the names are different than any other certification or what we use in our day-to-day life also.
What you are saying is actually being a project management practitioner, you should do some risk management in this and reduce your risk by taking the training actually and become more certain about passing the exam.
Yes.
So how difficult it is? Like this is the most important question most of the people ask. How difficult it is?
Foundation, I would say very easy. You understand the concept, the structure of
straightforward questions, right?
Straightforward questions.
Direct from manual.
Direct from manual.
Okay.
Practitioner, it's really difficult unless you have executed some projects on the ground. I would recommend don't go for practitioner. And I am not only recommending this, but I have followed this. Like as I said, I first did my foundation in 2006. When I started learning or the training for practitioner, I realized at that point of time, I had no experience of managing the project as a project manager. So I did not go for the practitioner certification at that point of time. I actually took a pause. That pause got a little longer, but then I did my practitioner in 2011. And I had a good experience of executing, running the project, managing the teams, a good understanding of how the risk should be managed, how the costing happens. I had a good understanding of all this, the experience of that, and then I went for the practitioner certification.
Okay, there are some other questions. This is question of the foundation and question of practitioners. Are they similar or they are different? I think you said about that there are questions in the foundation is straight from this, and practitioner, I think the questions are situational.
Correct. It's a situational based on the scenario or the situation given in the question paper.
Okay. Is it recommended to go for PRINCE2 certification if one already has PMP certification? There are two different things actually.
Correct. There are two different things. But see, I have seen many participants in my trainings who join because either they are relocating to UK or now they will be working with the UK client. Some that kind of a situation wherein the PRINCE2 becomes mandatory. But any one certification is also good enough because it is the things that you demonstrate in your work life. Those are going to matter much more than what certification you have. So nobody is highly recommending that, okay, do the PRINCE2 also. No. If you are interested in project management and such, you can go for it.
It's a need based basically. If your project is following PRINCE2, you should go for PRINCE2. If the project is more generic or more about the PMP, go for PMP, something like that. It is a need based. Yeah. The last question, what is the renewal process? Do we need to un-PDUs like PMP?
No, there is no concept of PDUs. People cert is thinking about introducing CPD, but not yet rolled out. So we don't know when that will come, but definitely no PDUs like PMP. The renewal process is simple. Your certification expires, you just go and register for the re-examination. You take the examination, you pass it, and again 3 years you will have the certificate.
Every time you have to go do foundation and practitioner?
Yes, now yes. Now,
Okay.
yes. When I did foundation in 2006, it was lifelong, but then they
Okay.
discontinued that when they launched this 7th edition.
Okay, okay. Good. So I think we are 9:01, so we have crossed our time. So Mahesh, thank you very much. I
Thank you,
think
sir.
this
Thanks,
was very
everyone.
enlightening on Prince2. I hope the people have enjoyed your education and your knowledge, your delivery for the Prince2. They are in better position to decide which way to go, both way to go, single way to go, kind of thing. And thank you very much. We will come back to you with more knowledge because you have a lot of things with you. So thank you very much, Mahesh, and thank you to all the participants. You have taken off your time and joined this program, and thank you very much, really.
Thank you,
Yes,
Mahesh.
We
thank
look
you.
forward
Thank you
for
all.
the
Bye.
next Tuesday.